This is Target Score Weekly with Joey Slattery and Taylor Allen. Welcome into another edition of Target Score Weekly. I'm Joey, he's Taylor, and we're rolling now. Got another big interview a little bit later on with Simon Hildebrandt, the Golden Boy, having another great season with the University of Manitoba. We expect him to be back with the Sea Bears, but as he tells us, nothing's set until that draft happens, Taylor. So we're going to have to be patient and see if he ends up back on the Sea Bears roster, I guess, eh?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that he will be, but he wanted to be cautious, and fair enough. If I was in his position, I wouldn't want to say anything to jinx it, I guess. But I mean, Mike Taylor has publicly said that, hey, we're going to draft Simon again in the U Sports draft. He's going to be a key piece on this Winnipeg Sea Bears team in year two. But again, Simon didn't want to go there, but fair enough. But very nice of him to squeeze us in. Obviously, he has a very important week coming up with the Canada West playoffs hosted at home at the U of M, which will be very exciting for him and the local basketball community as well.
Yeah, this is a huge week for Manitoba right now because you're just about set to head out to Calgary for the Scotties. So unfortunately, you're not going to be there for the Canada West Championships. But between the Manitoba connections at the Scotties, the Canada West Championships in a very talented, conference with a lot of parity and a lot of star power coming here for, I believe it starts Wednesday, goes through to the weekend on Saturday. And it is March Madness in February. This is the Canadian version, although it's not a national championship for the conference. It is one and done. So it's going to be very interesting. Both Winnipeg and Manitoba have the bye, so they don't have to play in that first round. They're waiting to see who their opponent's going to be. Brandon, though, ranked number 8. We're going to take a look. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to take a look at the standings or the seedings right now. If you're on audio, I'll try to be as clear as possible. But top rank is Victoria Vikes. Second rank is Calgary Dinos. Third rank is the Winnipeg Westmen. And number 4 is the Manitoba Bison. All those teams have byes to start, so they won't play until Thursday, but the tournament starts Wednesday on the 21st, and the first game is going to be at 1 o'clock, and that is between the University of Alberta, number 7, and Mount Royal Cougars, number 10. After that, you've got the Brandon Bobcats, so Manitoba's other team. They have to play into the quarterfinals. They're in the play-in game, taking on the University of Saskatchewan, who's had a really good season, actually, in terms of they've had some surprising wins. I don't think people were expecting. They've had a steady climb this year, so that should be a good matchup as the 8-9 seed. So number 8, the Bobcats, number 9, Saskatchewan. I expect that one will be tight, but Brandon probably should come out of that one, but I'm not counting out the University of Saskatchewan by any means. Then the next game at 6 o'clock on Wednesday is the 6th seed Regina Cougars against the 11th seed University of Fraser Valley. Cougars started off strong, but started slipping as the season went on. So again, anything can happen in this tournament. And then the last game of the Wednesday will be the one that matters to the Bison. So the winner between Regina and Fraser Valley will play Winnipeg. The winner of this game, the number 5 UBC and number 12 UNBC, will play the Bisons on Thursday. And that game is the last game of Wednesday going at 8 o'clock. So it's this kind of a tournament, Taylor. Seedings are nice for the rest, for the Bisons. We talked to Simon a little bit. He told us that, it's going to be nice to kind of see what's happening beforehand with the bye. That's another thing beyond the fact you get to preserve your body. You get to kind of see it before going into it. But anybody can win. This is a conference where we have a lot of winners. A very few amount of schools have won a lot of championships. But with this format, it takes one game, right? You go on one good run and make a couple of upsets. Who knows? Because, basically, if you're the team with the bye, you have to win 3 games, right? Like if you're Manitoba, you got to win your quarterfinal, win your semi, and then you're in the final. But if you're in the play-in game, that's just one extra game, which is a lot in a weekend. But if you're the number 12 UNBC, if you upset UBC, now you got some momentum going into Bisons who, might have a little bit of nerves going into it, playing at home and everything else. And, all the hoopla around a tournament like this. And then all of a sudden you're in the semifinals, anything's possible, right? So, every team in here has a chance. And I think that's what makes this so intriguing.
It's hard not to look ahead to that dream potential Saturday matchup, though. With the Westmen as the 3 seed, with the Bisons as the 4 seed, if they both win their quarterfinal games, which won't be, it's not a given, right? Like they'll both likely play a tough team in that quarterfinal, but if both of them could get through that, then they're playing each other, the Battle of Winnipeg at the U of M on Saturday in the semifinal for a chance to go to the Canada West final. I mean, you can't write a better script than that. So let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Actually,
like you just said, but
actually, I'll further that because they would actually play in the finals. I'm looking at it right now because the semifinal is the winner of Game 5 and Game 7. So Game 5 is actually the Dinos quarterfinal and the Westman quarterfinal.
oh,
And
I'm
then
a
the other one
goof.
would be Game
Yes.
6 and Game 8. So, no, but it's interesting you say that because we're not getting the rematch from last year's semifinal. We would get that rematch in the final. And could you
Yes.
imagine now an all Winnipeg Manitoba final? Like you can even throw the Bobcats into that actually, right? In terms of Manitoba basketball. So yeah, you're looking ahead and all those teams, especially, we keep kind of counting out Brandon. Like Brandon's a really, really good team. Like that's the one thing I don't think people realize how talented and how deep that team could be. And if they go there, you're going to have a Brandon contingent coming over to Manitoba if they're not already here for the tournament as it is. So, I mean, you've got a good chance that you see an all Manitoba final in terms of the 3 Manitoba universities taking part, and all of them have a shot to win this tournament.
I was looking at a graph, and I'm going to defend myself here because that was such a stupid thing to say. Obviously, the 3 seed and 4 seed would not play in the semifinal. It'd be the 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. But I'm looking at the image here, the graphic. It has the 1 and 2 seed games right beside each other, and the 3 and 4 seed games right beside each other. So my brain, that's just what I thought. But anyways, so thank you for saving me because that would have been a total disaster. But anyways, my point still stands. It's hard not to jump ahead to the Sunday, not the Saturday, and envision what a Westman Bisons final would be like. But we were kind of talking off the air. As great as this is for the Bisons to be hosting this, have their fans and whatnot, could also be a bit of a distraction as well. I think deep down, I doubt anyone's going to admit this, but I think maybe deep down, some guys might be like, you know what, it might be better to play this away from home and whatnot, because there's going to be so many people there, so much eyes on them, so much attention on them, so much media on them and whatnot. It could be a little distracting, add some pressure on them as well. So we'll see. It could be wrong. We shall see. But yeah, I think in some ways there could be some perks to playing this thing on the road. So we'll find out, I guess.
I think you're right. Yeah, and like it takes you out of your rhythm, right? Like in terms of, you have your game day routines, whether that's pregame, even in-game, little things like, player intros and things like that. You're just so used to going through the motions on a Friday and Saturday. Not often do you play on a Thursday, or any of these teams play on a Wednesday ever, right? So there's a lot of things that are different about this that's going to give it a different feel beyond the fact, they're playing for a championship. The other cool thing too, is you're going to see a lot of CEBL players in this matchup or in this tournament from schools throughout. I mean, Diego Mafia is going to be a big draw with the University of Victoria Vikes, who are the top ranked team. You've got Wallach, who plays on UBC, Adam Page on, University of Alberta. So there's a lot of guys that you've seen play if you've gone to CBears games this year, that you've seen them play on other teams. And now they're going to be playing as the stars of their teams too, right? So this is a really star-studded, I would argue probably the most star-studded we've ever had, simply because these guys have had a platform where we've seen them play at an even higher level, which we've never had before the CBL, at least not in Manitoba, where we've seen these guys, all in under one roof playing together as they're now the stars of their team. So that'll be interesting as well.
Well, the second biggest basketball event of this month, because clearly Canada West playoffs is number one, took place this past weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend. Joey, are you an NBA All-Star Weekend kind of guy? I know the All-Star game is the main event, but really I think the Saturday, the 3-point shootout, the dunk contest, the skills challenge, to a lot of people, that is the real main event. Did you watch? What was your take on the event?
So watch the skills competition. Like, to me, basketball is the one, I think, overall kind of the most entertaining from start to finish in terms of, I would actually do away with the skills competition. I don't care to see guys do bounce passes. I like the 3-point competition. I think that should be there. I love the Sabrina Ionescu versus Steph Curry 3-point challenge. I thought that was great. And the dunk contest, I'm a little easy on the dunk contest. They can't all be great. And we're getting to the point now where, creativity is so hard because we've had like decades of dunk contests. So, everybody keeps throwing back to Vince Carter. It's like, yeah, when he was the first to do it, it was mind blowing, and it still looks great because of his delivery of the dunks, but it's come a long way. If someone does that dunk again, it's not nearly as, entertaining as when Vince Carter did it. And then I always go back to the 2016 dunk contest with, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, which to me, at least in my lifetime, was the most entertaining because you had two guys at the top of their game. There was no runaway. In fact, you can make the argument the guy who won shouldn't have won in that one, right? So, those are dimes a dozen. You don't get those a lot. So, I usually go in just kind of hoping for the best. And, I think what Mac McClung's doing is incredible. I mean, here's a guy who's a G leaguer making his name on the dunk scene at the All-Star game, something that's never been done before either. So I was okay with it. The dunk contest, you're right, was a little bit, it was okay. It wasn't anything that I'm going to remember for sure. But overall, it was kind of nice to see. You're a big Pacers guy. Your Pacers team beat all the other All-Stars in the team skills comp, and then to, have Haliburton
hang the banner,
playing
man.
in the All-Star
hang the banner in the rafters.
Well,
that's a championship. We'll take it. We'll take what we can get.
So
man.
yeah, I enjoyed that. I think, how did you enjoy it? Because that's the other layer for you, right? Like Indiana's really getting some spotlight this year in terms of, from the in-season tournament, then the All-Star game being in Indy. Like there's a lot of spotlight on these young players that I think they wouldn't have gotten in years past to this extent this quickly.
Yeah, that's been cool. And having this kind of cool LED court, that was kind of different. And at first it's kind of like, this is kind of stupid.
Cool.
But
I actually really like that.
Yeah, I actually really liked it too. The way they used it was actually really fun. But starting with the dunk contest, I really respect Jaylen Brown for signing up to do it because you look at the past 20 years, not very many, if any, actual all-star players do this dunk contest. A couple of guys before they become all-stars do it, but really guys in their prime, already established stars in this league, they avoid this thing like the plague. So when I saw he signed up to do it, I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. However, he did not do so well. Like you said, I get it. There's been a million of these things. It's hard to be creative and whatever, but it seemed like the judges had this agenda that we got to push Jaylen to the final two, no matter, even if he does a left-handed layup, we're gonna push him to the final because we don't want to discourage more stars moving ahead to trying the dunk contest. And Mac McClung, he was awesome, but this is the NBA slam dunk contest, and the fact that they have G League guys doing it, I don't care if they are the best dunker in the world. This is the NBA dunk contest. You can't find 4 NBA guys willing to do it. I don't know. So. Yeah, it was pretty forgettable, but Mac, he had some nice dunks. I think it was his first one where he kind of, he caught the ball and threw it up to himself and then dunked it. We've never seen that before, so that was cool. Even though the judges sandbagged him on that one, gave him one of the judges gave him a 46, which is insane. But yeah, it's kind of Reggie Miller was talking about this, and he was kind of saying how the 3-point shootout in a way is becoming the highlight of the weekend now, because the superstars all sign up for that. We see Dame Lillard now win it twice in a row, and these guys make it look so easy. But I would love if Sabrina and her challenge with Steph, that was super fun. Next year, put her in the 3-point shootout. Let's see how she could do.
That's what I was thinking.
These guys in the actual competition. So yeah, I mean, these things are always kind of gimmicky this weekend, but I find myself every year on the Saturday sitting there for 3 hours watching the whole thing.
I did not watch the game because the Scotties are on, right? So I'd rather watch Jennifer Jones play than the All-Star game. I'll get the highlights on Instagram and stuff like that. It's more about the honor. The game is, to me, is just kind of a passing thing. It's passive. They're just there because they have to play, but it's just the honor being named an All-Star. I know who they are. I think I see them play better in their natural state of a competitive game than I do in an All-Star game. I also think you were trying to stack this against me, so I would talk poorly of Jaylen Brown and my Celtics, which is not going to work. 100%. I think he deserved to be top 2. But no, you're right. I think the Jaylen Brown being in there kind of gave a little bit of context of just how good these dunkers are. And my wife and I were actually talking about this. I don't mind that a G Leaguer's in there because as the All-Star weekend, the All-Star game is for the players. Everything else is the skills competition. And to me, if you want to make that truly All-Star, then get the best at those things, right? So if there's a person that's not necessarily an all-star, as a complete player, but is the best 3-point shooter or is a great dunker, I want to see the best dunkers go head to head. Like, I don't, like you say, I don't care to see, Jaylen Brown, who maybe throws down nice dunks in a game, but there's a guy who I'll never see dunk in a game because you don't have the freedom to do these things. There's no rules in a dunk contest in terms of how many steps you take. There's no defenders, whatever. So for me, I'm kind of okay with that a Mac McClung gets in and gets to show off a skill that he would never be able to show off, but it's still the top tier of that event. So, I think the Jaylen Brown thing kind of gave context to that. And it also gives context to like a Michael Jordan of just how great he was, a Vince Carter of just how great he was, because they were able to do some of those in games and then do it in a dunk competition. But that's not the norm. So I think when you go through these mediocre dunk contests, it really puts into perspective the great ones and why they're great. So yeah, like that, I'm kind of the opposite side of the argument on that, where I'm okay with it not being guys in the game because they're there to play the game. That's why they're there, for their, like, how high or how elevated they played on the court this season. The other guys, hey man, like, because I'm sure there's guys that are putting their names in and they're like, we only have a few spots. Like, we don't want, I don't know, like Jokic in the dunk contest. You know what I mean? Like, the NBA, I'm sure, has a bit of a filter of who they're going to allow in terms of, they probably have a small scale of pool of guys that they'd want to see in there. And a lot of those guys probably say no and they go with what's left. But for me, it's, if a guy can jump out of the gym and can do some crazy things with a basketball that he couldn't do in a game, put him in the dunk contest. That's what it's there for. It's just for fun and entertainment.
I don't know. I would absolutely love to see Anthony Edwards in a dunk contest. Zion would have been cool. I mean, that should happen forever ago. I think that ship is sailed.
Well, here's the thing, though. Do you want to see Zion get injured in a freaking dunk contest? You know what I mean? Yeah, like, I think that's another thing for those guys, too, because you're right. Those are the guys that are probably, the NBA's like, hey, man, I hope these guys are in. But they're also probably like, wow, like, I don't want to get hurt or whatever it is. So I can see both sides of the coin. But you're right. There's definitely some stars I would have loved to have seen in that dunk contest.
Yeah. So this has been the argument we've been having for years. Like, nothing has really changed with this event. And like you said, there will be a year like that 2016 with Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon that gets everyone excited about the contest again. And then there'll be a couple of years where it's like, man, this thing stinks. Like, they should just scrap this thing. And then another year will come and someone will get us excited again. And that kind of drags it out for a couple more years. So I don't know. I don't know what, but I think we're getting to a point where some changes need to be made. I mean, I think it's great that they have these legends as the judges and whatnot. It's cool seeing their names and whatever, but I mean, some of the scores that these guys were throwing out there, it's like, that too. And some of the scores these guys were throwing out there, it's like, are you even watching the dunks? Like, what's going on here? So I don't know. They got to figure out something, because I think people aren't that excited about the whole competition anymore. But I get what you're saying with the G Leaguer thing, but it's not. They're not getting the four.
G League's an exception. I agree with you. I think the G League might be a bit of a stretch, but if you're in the NBA, I think if you're a guy in practice, like, these guys see these guys, like, I'm sure there are guys on each team or most teams that, like, we don't even know their names, that the stars of the team are, like, excited to watch after practice, just throw down big dunks. Like, there are guys that are so talented that could do things that even the stars can't do, that they even look up to with admiration, right? Like, those are the guys that I want to see. And that's how you get your Vince Carters and even your Zach LaVines. Like, those guys, like, Vince Carter's name skyrocketed after the dunk contest, right? Like, he was like a hotshot guy coming out of North Carolina with the Raptors, a team that no one really watched in the States. And all of a sudden he's on the national stage and throws down dunks, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden the Raptors become a thing because of Vince Carter. Zach LaVine was a guy, Aaron Gordon I knew, but Zach LaVine was a relative nobody to me at the time. And that puts him on, the pedestal. Now he becomes a star. So there is, like, a breakout factor to the dunk contest that I get for sure. But yeah, like, Mac McClung is an exception. I don't think you're going to see a G Leaguer all the time. I think, I would be okay with it if they just knocked it down to NBA. It's cool that this happened or whatever, but you have to be exceptional. And I think Mac McClung is, but yeah, I can definitely see it. If I had to rank it, I think baseball does it the best. They're not trying to show off a left fielder's arm. They're not trying to show off, like, a shortstop's quickness. It's like everybody's there to see guys hit balls out of a park, right? So you just get your 4 or 5, whatever, biggest guys that hit the most and longest home runs, and you just let them swing away for a few hours, and everybody's happy. Like, they don't try to stretch it into something it's not. Whereas, hockey, it's kind of hard. Like, hardest shot and fastest skaters, I think, are the only ones you really need that I care to watch. Some of the skills ones are cool, but like it gets a little gimmicky for sure. And then basketball, yeah, to me, it's like the 3-point competition. I would just stick it to 3-point and dunk contest, and I'd be happy with that. Like I know what they're trying to do and showcase everybody, but it's too long. Like, we were talking to Mike Moriali last week, and he talked about the value of having a 2-hour basketball game, like having people in and out of the stadium. It holds your attention the whole time. Basketball is really good at moving things quickly as opposed to hockey. Hockey, there's a lot of setup and a lot of lulls in between, but I think baseball has the best one. Just what's our top, our biggest entertaining factor of our game? Home runs. All right, let's just put our biggest, cartoon hero guys out there and let them swing away at meatballs and see how far they could hit these things. And people will just, the oohs and ahs for, 3 straight hours. It's crazy. So I would rank it that. I think I'd go baseball, basketball, hockey, and then Pro Bowl's and stupid.
Whoa. The NFL has made some sweet changes, actually. Like, I like what they do now with the flag football, and they'll play like dodgeball and all these other games. It's just fun seeing these superstars play all these, weird contests and stuff. So the actual Pro Bowl back in the day when they played a half-assed tackle football game, that was terrible. But what they've done these past 2 years now, I believe, it's actually been pretty fun. And then the NHL, they do nothing, right? So that weekend's a total write-off. I haven't watched that in probably 20 years. But baseball, the home run derby, it's hard to beat that. That's always a good time.
I think with football, like the same deal. It's just like it's a weird time. I'm geared up for Super Bowl. It's weird to kind of take a step back and watch flag football. I never watched the Pro Bowl. Like, I like some of the contests, with the quarterbacks of the moving targets and stuff like that. But again, like that's really the only one that you can showcase is that's kind of entertaining is an accuracy and with some continuity, I guess, is the targets for quarterbacks. But yeah, overall, I care less for the Pro Bowl. But yeah, like the one thing I'll give hockey is I liked how they went to the 3-on-3 tournament because to me, like I love that about the overtime, like how fast it is and how everything's a scoring chance and odd man rushes, stuff like that. So I do like how they made it different than the actual game to gear up a little bit of interest in it. But yeah, I still wouldn't say it's great. I don't watch it. I didn't watch this year's. I think I might have watched last year's. It's All-Star's a hard one, man. It's for the kids at the end of the day. Like, it's for the kids to see their stars, like you and I still look back at the old Western Eastern Conference jerseys, like the green and the purple from the 90s. Like that's what it's about. You have the nostalgia of it later on for your stars as a kid. Like as adults, it's a little bit harder because you're just like, I'm watching guys, bounce a puck off some colorful pylon and into a small net. Like this doesn't make any sense to me, so, but yeah, I think baseball is just like true to it here. We don't change anything. We're just having guys swing a ball at a speed and a location where they want it to put them in the best situation. And then they play a game. I think that's the way to go personally.
I wonder if Simon Hildebrandt was in a dunk contest, what his best dunk would be. Oh, wait.
Well,
we had him on the show and we asked him.
Yeah, let's find out. We have the CEBL U Sports Player of the Year with the Sea Bears last season and current star of the Manitoba Bisons about to set in to the Canada West Championships here in Winnipeg, Simon Hildebrandt. Simon Hildebrandt, the Golden Boy, joining us on Target Score Weekly. Simon, how are you liking that nickname?
I don't know. I don't like to be like kind of talked about like that sometimes. It was kind of just given to me, but I don't know. So it's all right. It's all right.
It's got the Manitoba tie to it, right? It can't be too bad.
Fair enough.
After the pro season that you've had and, coming back to Manitoba in your second season, how are you holding up, in terms of just, fatigue-wise and stuff like that? It's been a busy year and a half, going on close to 2 years now, especially as you approach another CEBL season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely been a grind. Like I know last year, like I was a rookie, like I didn't know much. I was still figuring things out, and I think this year I've definitely done a better job in my university season of trying to take care of my body and be in the gym a little bit more. And in the last like month and a bit, I've been starting to watch what I'm eating a little bit more and try to do as many things as I can to keep my body ready for however long I'm going to play. Try to start that while I'm young.
I think one of the best things about the CEBL is obviously this partnership with U Sports. It gives guys like yourself, obviously, a chance to dabble in pro basketball while still in university, and obviously, make you a better player and, give back to the university basketball scene, which we really see here locally with not only yourself, but other guys who are even just practice players with the Sea Bears and how their games have evolved since then. So for you, how much of a jump do you think have you taken from your freshman year at the U of M to year two, basically because you had this summer going up against these professional basketball players, these guys that were, bigger and maybe a little stronger and more experienced as well?
Mm-hmm. So like when I first came back from my second year, I don't think it was more like I didn't think about it, but I just I didn't feel like I would walk out and just dominate everybody because I played in the CBL, but I kind of thought in the back of my mind, like, yeah, might be a little bit easier than it was last year, than it was this summer. But like, I don't know, like these are still like university basketball players who are like extremely talented, like in practice and in games. Like I'm still going up against very good guys. So I think the biggest thing for me to change is like my confidence level. Like, yeah, I still went through like my ups and downs, and everybody misses shots and turns the ball over. But I just want my confidence level of, hey, like, I can fit in. I can dominate. I can take these kind of shots. And that heading into my second year was the biggest jump for me.
You look at, your trajectory, you break out of the high school scene, you come right in your freshman year and have a huge impact with the Bisons, a record-setting season for Manitoba last year. And then you go right into the CEBL as, the number one draft pick, the local kid playing on the pro team. You become the CEBL U Sports Player of the Year. All these accolades and everything. It was kind of this steady growth, right? And everything's kind of new as you're going through it. How has that changed this year? Because this is really the first time that you're going into something familiar now with expectations where people know who Simon Hildebrandt is. They have the film on you and all that. So how has that changed, I guess, going into your second season as opposed to maybe going into your freshman year?
Yeah, it's been a little bit different. Like I think last year I was just kind of like I was just a rookie. Like we had other guys who did more things, and I was probably like third on the scout or fourth on the scout in terms of what other teams prepare for. So I definitely had a little bit easier last year. I mean, this year teams are keying on me a little bit more, so it's definitely been like I had to take a step in growing about how to get around kind of what teams are preparing for me, all the actions that I run. So be a little bit more precise and yeah, just try to work through it. But it's definitely been a little bit tougher.
You had a game earlier this season at the U of M. You scored a career-high 41 points, the most points scored by a Bison in 49 years. Take us through that game.
Yeah, I mean, I hit my first couple of shots and just felt good, and my teammates kind of realized that I was hot, and I hit my first, couple threes, and I kept hitting, and they did a great job of trying to find me while I was feeling good, and yeah, I'm glad we got the win too in that one. So,
when did you know that you kind of made history?
I don't even remember. I think after the game, they told me that like Rashawn, like our assistant coach, he had 41 game, and then there were I think Rick Watts has more. I can't remember how much he has, but I think he had more than me. So I don't know if you really call it history, but
I think it was only like two more too. It was very very close. Yeah, like Rick Watts like just has it by like a point or two for sure. And that was a big game too because that's against not UBC, sorry. That was against Victoria, which is the number one team in the country. And going up against that. So when you go through that, I know Diego Mafia wasn't playing. So this is a two-part question in that game. Were you a little disappointed that Diego wasn't playing? Because I know you guys haven't gone head-to-head in U Sports yet. And also just that confidence level of doing that against the number one team in the country. Was that, a sense of maybe elevated motivation to do it against them?
I mean, I feel like I'm motivated to play like every game. Like, and regardless of who's playing, obviously, like Dig is a great player, and he's probably going to be like the Can West, if not U Sports Player of the Year, and he makes them a better team. But like, you got to go out and play who's in front of you. Like, can't really control if he plays or not. So if he doesn't play, we still got to go and try to win. If he plays, we still got to go and try to win. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, playing the number one team. Like, we never got the chance to play him last year, and we were 1-2 all year. So like, yeah, like I think all of us on our team have really been wanting to play Victoria. So maybe a little bit of added motivation, but I find like just another day where like or get the opportunity to play basketball. So, I'm motivated either way. So,
Obviously going through the CEBL helped you this year and whatnot. But what about coaching little 2-year-old Charlie, my nephew, in mini ballers? I would imagine being around my 2-year-old nephew Charlie. I'm sure you picked up a lot from him. Some things that have really helped you grow as a player and as the man you are today. So what did my nephew Charlie teach you? Last year when you were helping out with mini ballers.
Obviously all the important skills. It taught me how to dribble a little better, pass a little better, shoot threes a little better. Exactly.
Probably had to bend the rules a little better too, eh?
Maybe a bit.
No, my nephew was not very coachable. He would not listen. I went to one session, and it was like this all-star cast of coaches, Simon, other U Sports athletes, and whatever. And my nephew Charlie did not want to listen to anyone. He was just happy. Give him a ball, give him a hoop by himself. He's not doing any drills or whatever. So he was not very coachable. So I apologize for that. But he signed up for it again. I don't know if you're going to be coaching again. So hopefully he'll be a little better year two. So we'll see.
Sounds like working with Taylor Allen.
Yes. We are related, me and Charlie. So it does make sense.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No.
Yeah, looking at a CEBL, Simon, the partnerships or maybe the relationships you built through that process, having access. I remember you and EJ and Asike after games going out and shooting threes, and you were really working on, becoming that stretch four and improving as a stretch four that can, shoot the ball, play inside. But having someone who's played at the Division I level, has some pro experience under his belt to take you under his wing. How did those relationships help you, do you think, as you kind of go into your second year? Because you're getting this experience very early on in your university career, which not a lot of athletes would get.
Yeah, like it's not only EJ. EJ was a big part, but I still talk to a bunch of the guys who I played with last summer. And something like EJ, I still talk to him a little bit. He'll talk to me about kind of how my season's going and, what things I probably got to do a little bit better at. Just, getting that experience last summer with him was awesome. Just to see, how somebody who's playing high-level professional basketball, takes care of themselves and make sure to get the reps in and all these kind of things that I'm grateful to be learning at such a young age. And I still have a couple more years of university basketball to play before I get to go play pro. So, yeah, just, being able to see firsthand, not just, read about it or watch a video about, but, kind of be a part of how he acts as a professional athlete was huge for me.
Chad Posthumus has said, I think he even said to us, Joey, on this show, that he thinks that you could be an NBA talent one day. When you hear a guy like Chad, who's been all over the world, say something like that about you and your game, and EJ as well, when speaking to him, he raved about you and your potential as well. Again, was it just kind of due for your confidence? And, kind of a two-part question. What is kind of your long-term goal? I know you're only in year 2 at the U of M, but when you think just kind of big picture-wise in pro basketball, what are you kind of hoping to accomplish one day?
Yeah, I'd love to just play professionally somewhere, wherever that is, where somebody would have me and I think I can have a successful career. Right now I'm just focused on my U of M, and I'm sure if I keep playing well at U of M, other stuff will come. But yeah, ultimately I'd like to play professional somewhere. And Chad has been an awesome kind of mentor for me all through. I still keep in contact with him now, in Winnipeg. He's come to a bunch of my games this year. I've seen him at a bunch of events. And yeah, being a really young guy playing on this professional stage, my confidence definitely kind of wavered. There's been some games where, my confidence is high, I'm feeling good. Other games where I'm not really feeling it and I'm struggling a bit. And Chad's kind of a guy who's just no matter what I'm going through, he's just, hey, we know you can shoot the ball. We need you to shoot the ball. You're here for a reason, man. And he's just been awesome and just kind of helping me believe in myself and just encouraging me. And a lot of that stuff, people don't really kind of, it gets overseen and people don't really think about the impact someone like Chad has on me off the floor. So
how challenging is it to manage those expectations, to kind of take away from the big picture and focus on, the task at hand in that sense? Not a lot of players in university have to sign autographs after the university games, right? There's kids out there with Sea Bears gear, really kind of put you up a level. But when you're hearing these things about, potential future in the NBA and, the records and the awards and all this. How challenging is that for you to kind of put that noise aside and really focus at the task at hand that makes you as great as you are?
It can be difficult at times, but for the most part, like I think I do a pretty good job of just trying to focus on the game at hand. And afterwards, you can talk to the kids and take pictures with kids, but kind of, in between the lines on the floor with the time still on the clock in 4 quarters, like it's all about just trying to get the win. And I usually do a pretty good job of blocking that out of my mind and just focusing on the game at hand until it ends. So it's not extremely difficult, but there's definitely times.
It kind of felt like this Westman Bisons rivalry kind of cooled off for a couple of years ago, but as of last year, it is 1,000% back. I mean, you guys, every time you play the Westman, it's a heated game, feels like a playoff game, whether it is or it isn't. Just how much fun is it, just bringing this rivalry really back to life, and because again, every time you two play each other, like it really does feel like the battle of the province, like it should be.
I think part of the reason that really helps that is like the Sea Bears. Just they've kind of really grown this basketball community in Winnipeg. I think like Winnipeg's always had a great basketball community, and now kind of with the Sea Bears coming, it just kind of shows how much of a community we have, and like it also helps that like the last couple of years Winnipeg's been like extremely good. Like they made nationals last year. We're number 3 heading into the Canada West playoffs this year. And we're pretty good too. Like we were number 2 seed in Canada West last year. We also have a bye this year. A bunch of guys on both our teams like were with the Sea Bears this summer, practice playing. So just the fact that both of these teams are both very good, and like the basketball community in Winnipeg is just constantly growing. I think definitely helps the fact that when we play each other, it's just a massive game, and everybody knows it's going to be a good game. 2 high-level teams competing. So.
How excited are you for this weekend coming up, the Canada West Championships? I mean, the new format, each game matters. It's one and done, but it's on your home court, being the first host of this 12-team tournament. I mean, how do you kind of even approach this? It's just such a beast of its own, really, right? When you're not sure who you're going to be playing after every game.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just look at it one game at a time. Like if we get ahead of ourselves and say, hey, look, we could be playing Winnipeg or Calgary in the finals, or like none of that matters. That's on Sunday. Like we could have all our focus on Thursday right now and just take it one game at a time. And I know like Coach Kirby and all our other coaches have been working all week about just, this first game. Like how are we going to get through either UBC or UNBC, right? Like watching film on these teams and going through some of their sets and just have a perfect game plan that we've been working on all week. So just take it one game at a time, right? Like anything can happen. It reminds me a little bit of like March Madness, right? Like and then the NCAA, like anything can happen. So we could be preparing for, I don't know, a team down the road and they could lose, then all that work's gone to waste. So just take it one game at a time, and you just got to play who's in front of you.
Speaking of March Madness, since you brought it up, Simon, after this U Sports year and after the CBL year, obviously there was some talk that there were some teams down south that were really interested in you. How close were you to maybe taking your talents elsewhere?
I don't know. Like I was talking to some people, but I know I had such a good year. Like my first year at U of M, I think Coach Kirby's done a fantastic job, and I just like I'm in a place where I have the freedom to do a lot of things, and I'm being pushed. I find hard enough, and I have the opportunity to play in the CEBL this summer. I have all this film, so I'm playing a lot. I'm playing FIBA basketball. There's a lot of reasons for me to want to stay. So if I were to leave, it would kind of have to be like the perfect opportunity, like without a doubt. And so like I've been talking to some schools, and some things fall through. But for me to eventually leave, it would have to be like the most perfect situation because I have everything I need to succeed here at Manitoba.
And how tough is that too when you talk about the opportunity to do all of this at home, right? I mean, you're playing university ball at the highest level with one of the best teams in the country here at home. You're playing with the professional team at home, which didn't exist even a year and a half ago or whatever it was when the team was announced. So does that play a factor as well, knowing the opportunity you have and how unique it is to do it in the comfort of home with fans that know you?
Yeah, like, I was away for school for 2 years, and, being away from home is tough sometimes. So just the fact that you can do it at home and, like, see your family every day, see your friends more often, sleep in your own bed, get home-cooked meals, it's awesome. Like, it's sometimes, like, you don't realize how tough it is to do that away from home. Just I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do it in Winnipeg.
Is it time, Joey?
I think it's time. Simon, are you ready for target time?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is perfect segue for the first question at target time, Simon. If you had to move away from home, any city in the world, where would you want to play basketball? Not necessarily school, but city. You can move anywhere in the world. Where do you want to go?
So it's a mix. I'd like to go somewhere hot, but I got family in Germany. I think it'll be pretty cool to play there one day. Can I give you a country? Is that good enough?
That's good. Yeah, okay. That works. Yeah.
It'd be cool to play in front of my mother's side of the family over there.
Okay, that's cool. All right. So Germany would be your place of choice. So German scouts, because we have a million that listen to this podcast, I'm sure. You've got some interest in Germany.
So since the NBA dunk contest just happened last weekend, which wasn't very good, by the way. But anyways, Simon, if you were in a dunk contest, what's the first dunk that you're throwing down? Or what's the best dunk that you think you could throw down in a dunk contest?
I can go through the legs off one foot. It's probably the nicest dunk I can do. Yeah, I know we got definitely bouncier guys on our team. I think if our team had to send one guy in a dunk contest, I'd be like number 3 or 4 on the list. We have other guys who are way better at that than me. So, but I can do through the legs off one if I had to pick my nicest one.
So this isn't my target time question, but who would be your choice? We'll start with just who would be your choice on the Bisons and who would be your choice on the Sea Bears from last year's roster?
On the Bisons, it would be Andre Gray. He's our American guy from Minneapolis. Man, can he get up? Like, it's crazy. I think he was in a Peg City dunk contest, I think, like last week or a little while ago, and he won it. Like, he can fly. If I was up against him, I have no chance. And on Sea Bears, probably like Michael Okafor. That guy can get up. He can throw down some crazy dunks. And I played against him like my first year of university. Can't remember if he did anything, but I've seen videos of him just postering people, and man, can he fly.
He's got some springs, eh?
Yeah.
All right, okay. So here's my target score question now. What's the favorite gym or facility you played in outside of Winnipeg? So not including Canada Life Center, not including University of Manitoba. What's your favorite facility you played in or favorite gym?
University of Calgary has a really nice gym.
Oh, yeah? What makes it so nice?
I just like the rims. They got great hoops. They got a really nice floor. Got good grip. I like the colors, the red and yellow. It just kind of makes it bright and a little bit vibrant in there. And, University of Calgary is like a great school. It always makes for a good game, too. So, we split with them. We had 2 great games with them back, earlier in the season. So, that was a fun place to play.
And they're another highly ranked team, too. All right, go ahead, Taylor.
Why do you wear number 2 at the U of M, and why do you wear number 15 for the Winnipeg Sea Bears?
So, as a rookie at U of M, there's only so many numbers you can wear. Like, the older guys get first pick. So I like single-digit numbers and number 10. It was like my top 10, all there. So I was lucky enough to get XL in one of those. And I kind of just took it. And then with the Sea Bears, again, being the younger rookie, they gave me a list of jerseys, and a lot of them were already taken by guys with more experience. And it was I think there's 2 or 3 options left for an XL jersey, so I just took 15. I honestly can't remember what the other options were. There's no deep history or meaning behind either of those ones.
I
Fair
love
enough,
that
fair
though,
enough.
right? You think like there's so much deep, but sometimes it's just practical, man. I needed an
Yeah.
Excel, and it just happened to have
Yeah.
that number. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, how describe your first pro season in one word?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So
Yeah.
why does that come to mind? What was it? Just the fact that there was no team a year ago, or how would you
Yeah,
put that
just
in
like
there?
so many just unbelievable experiences, like on the floor, off the floor, getting to do it in Winnipeg, in my home city, in front of the best crowd. Just so many things that I wouldn't have thought would happen like a year ago. So definitely unbelievable.
That might have been your thought in this moment that I'm about to bring up. So game one, first game in CBER's history, at home, packed crowd. Chad Posthumus gets into early foul trouble. And I don't know when the original plan was for you to get into the game, but you end up checking into the game very early and played a lot of minutes. So what was going through your head when Mike Taylor looks down and says, Simon, you're in. Chad's in foul trouble here.
Yeah, like definitely the first couple minutes are nervous. Like you kind of look up, look around Canada Life Center, and it's like we sold it out, like a ton of people. First couple minutes are a little nervous, and my first shot attempt was like a wedgie in between the backboard and the rim. So I think after I kind of shot that one, and I got stuck there, I have a little laugh about it, and then it kind of calmed me down. So I think like first couple minutes you're kind of like a little bit like, oh, this is kind of crazy. Take that first shot, and like I don't know, nothing worse can happen, right? Like you get stuck. So I mean, once that kind of happened, I definitely calmed down and say, hey, like it's not gonna happen again. Like it's gonna be good. And then you kind of just start thinking about the game, and you like forget about the crowd and forget about everything and just try to win. So
Yeah, it just kind of breaks the ice a bit, eh? That's interesting.
yeah.
So what is your best talent outside of basketball?
I was a big time volleyball player in high school. I mean, I haven't played volleyball in a little while. I'm definitely a bit rusty, but I was pretty good at volleyball. I was deciding whether I wanted to pursue basketball or volleyball in like late high school, and I ended up picking basketball.
What was it about basketball?
Just found it more fun. Not that I didn't enjoy volleyball. Like I love playing volleyball too. I think the fact that you're able to, I found it easier to work on your game by yourself. That was a big one. Like you can have a hoop in your driveway, or you can just kind of go in the morning at school and get shots up, opposed to, volleyball. I found like you set up a net, I guess like you can serve, but you got to get like a couple other people in there to help you hit or to pass or like other things. Like I just like the fact that you can kind of be by yourself and get better.
Yeah, when I played volleyball, I remember the coaches saying, when you go home, you could take a ball and you could bump it off the wall to yourself. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That sounds terrible. So it's a lot more fun shooting on your driveway than bumping a ball against the wall to yourself. So yeah. I get that for sure. Mike Taylor, Kirby Shep, what's the biggest difference between the two coaches in your life, do you think? Or similarity?
I don't know. I found them both pretty similar. They're both very like relaxed, calm people. I find. I know like Kirby's not a big yeller, and neither is Mike. Like they both understand that. Hey, like if you speak, like obviously like they yell if you get mad the occasional time, but they're both very, very calm and collected. I would say I've had coaches in the past who are, big yellers here and there, but both of them are very, very calm and collected, I would say.
Okay. So you talked about, you want to play pro basketball. That's definitely your career goal. But let's say you were not a basketball player. What would be your dream job?
That's a great question. I don't even know. I'm still trying to figure that out now. Like I feel like as a kid I didn't really have like a big dream job. Like I'm in school for business right now, and I still don't have a clue what I want to do. If I had to, pick a job, I just love to work in sports. Like I'm obviously a big basketball player. I played volleyball. I'm a huge football fan. I know I love sports, like any sports. So if I had the opportunity to work in sports somehow, I guess through business, would be a dream of mine.
All right.
Well, I was going to ask you who your favorite NBA player and NBA team is, but since you said football as well, I'll just say, what's your favorite athlete and favorite sports team?
It's a good one. Like, I'm a big football fan. So I mean, it depends on the sport, right? Like, I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan.
My condolences.
I don't know if I have like a. Yeah, I know, it was a tough one. Favorite athlete? I don't know if I have a favorite athlete. Like, I have athletes that I watch and like basketball. I try to like model my game after a little bit. Like, I was a big Gordon Hayward fan growing up, just because I felt like he was somebody I could look at and like see myself in eventually at some point. And I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan too, so it happened to work where he ended up, coming to my team for a little bit there. I just traded him, but yeah, I would say he's probably like one of my favorites. I guess somebody that I can kind of see a resemblance to myself in a little bit. Like, I loved watching like highlights of him at Butler too. That was a big one.
I'm a Celtics fan, so I had really high hopes when he came to Boston, but didn't work out so well.
That national title game against Duke, when he chucks up that half-court heave to potentially win the national title, and it just rims out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm not a Butler guy, but my heart broke for him. Like, that was as close as it got to having like the greatest shot probably ever in basketball history, and just barely missed. Yeah, that's heartbreaker.
It would be crazy.
Well, there's no better way to end Target Time than honoring Gordon Hayward. So with that concludes Target Time. All right, Simon, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's a busy time for you with, school and the Canada West Championships coming up. And, best of luck. Enjoy that while it's here on home court. And we look forward to seeing you not only at the Canada West Championships, but when the season tips off for the CEBL here in 25, which I'm sure it'll be another exciting one.
So I gotta actually be redrafted. So I'm not like officially on the Sea Bears yet. So like the draft happens in, I don't even remember when I got drafted last year, like April or March or something like that. So I'm hoping I'm back, but like nothing is for sure yet.
All right. Well, we hope to see you
spoiler,
back
Simon.
in the CEBL. Yeah. I'm sure we'll be seeing you.
Well, a spoiler for you, Simon. Mike Taylor has publicly said that he fully plans to pick you in the U Sports draft. So I think it's safe to say you'll be a CEBL.
So I hope I'm hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, so regardless, I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the CEBL at some point. We look forward to it. But again, thanks for taking the time. We really appreciate it, Simon.
For sure.
That was Simon Hildebrandt, current star of the Manitoba Bisons, and what we assume, Taylor, is the returning star, U Sports star of the Winnipeg Sea Bears. But hey, Simon is not jumping to conclusions. Here's a guy with the task at hand on his mind. He talked about that he's worried about Thursday in that game Thursday, and he knows it's nothing set in stone until he's drafted, Taylor. So,
yeah, he knows the old saying, what happens when you assume something. But again, like I said to him, hey man, Mike Taylor has literally said that you're going to be back. But again, power to him for wanting to play it safe. But I had to bring up the thing about my nephew, because I probably should have added some more context. But my 2-year-old nephew joined awesome. this program, Mini Ballers. It's like these little Tykes hoops and whatever, and they do all these little drills. And of course, these kids aren't actually playing basketball. They're 2, they're 3 or whatever. And so I went with him the first practice. This was last year. My dad and I took Charlie. And I found it hysterical that the coaching staff that they had, it was Simon, it was Wyatt Tate, it was a player or two from the Westmen as well. Like, it was just this phenomenal all-star coaching staff, and they're coaching these 2-year-old kids in the Mini Ballers program. So, which is awesome. It's like, okay, here we go. Let's start them young. Let's give them elite coaching right off the hop. I don't think my my nephew really appreciated it too much. Like I said, he wanted nothing to do with Simon's expertise or anyone's, but so you had to kind of bring that up to Simon. I spoke to him at that practice last year as well, and was kind of joking with him about it as well. So yeah, Simon, he's star for the CEBL, star for the Bisons, and he's given back to our mini ballers as well. So he's doing it all for the basketball scene here in Winnipeg.
Hey, man. Sounds like Charlie doesn't need coaching. Sounds like Charlie can maybe show these guys a thing or two. So, good on Charlie. Doesn't worry about the status that people are throwing on him. He knows. He's like, hey, man, I'm here to ball. I don't need these guys to tell me what to do. Good for Charlie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Also, you brought up Wyatt Tate. Quick congratulations to him. That was the Bison senior. He had his senior night last week, and he'll be in his final tournament, obviously, for Canada West. Son of Ed Tate, the Blue Bombers reporter, longtime journalist here too. So got to see Ed too, which was nice. And anyway, that was a nice little ceremony for Wyatt. So congratulations to him. He's the longest current serving Bisons in all of the athletics department as of right now. So he's
that's a fun fact.
A guy that's he's become synonymous with that, not just the basketball program, but the athletics as a whole. So wishing him the best as he moves on from basketball and into the professional world. Like you and I have found out, it's a tough one.
Yes, it is. But working in sports, though, we are definitely lucky. I'll be in Calgary this week covering the women's curling nationals, which will be super fun. Lots of local storylines, of course. Jennifer Jones, her last nationals, and Carrie Anderson, going for a fifth, and some controversy there with her lead, Brianne Harris, ineligible to play. So I know people tune into Target Score to listen to curling talk. That's why I'm going on this tangent right now, of course. Yeah. But yeah, so I'll be excited to do that. But although I'll be honest, though, the timing of it isn't the best, because I would love to be at the Canada West basketball playoffs, because that's really cool that we're getting this here and seeing some of the best university basketball in the country here in our own city. So that'll be really fun tournament, kind of March Madness style as well. So I am jealous that you'll be there in the thick of it all week long. So
yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'll be working the sidelines, doing some sideline reporting for it. So, work a little off-season rest stop before the CEBL season. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Like, we're talking about the CEBL stars. There's some guys that are going to break out of this tournament too. So there's some players that we're going to see, or maybe you'll be hearing about for the first time, that have been having great U Sports seasons. But, now they're going to be under the spotlight a little bit. I believe the games are broadcast on CBC Gem throughout the tournament, and so people can tune in and see some names that you're probably going to hear about again as the U Sports draft comes around. So there's a few players that I'll be keeping an eye on to see where they fall in that U Sports draft list. But it's going to be a great event regardless. I mean, just the excitement of that do or die type tournament is always fun. I don't know how you keep track of all this, because you had your Manitoba provincial Scotties, you had the Viterra, which is the provincial men's tournament to qualify for the Brier. So you had those brackets, and the men's one side is like 32 team field. Then you've got this bracket. Now you've got the national Scotties, and then you got to get ready for the Brier after that. So you're like the bracket king.
Someone's got to be, I guess. I don't know. But growing up, March Madness was always my favorite. Man. Yeah, I guess so. But growing up, March Madness was always my favorite sporting event. It still is. So I've been studying brackets for a long time. So I've been preparing for this moment my whole life, I guess you could say. So yeah, this is one of the best times of the year for sports. So there we go.
It is. It's a busy time. It's a fun time. And it's, that's the thing we always try to remind ourselves, especially when you're going out as a journalist trying to cover it all. Can't be everywhere at once, and you got to sacrifice those things from time to time. But it's always fun to reflect and being in those moments and bringing those stories to life, right? So I'm jealous of you heading out to Calgary, especially this year, like you say. Maybe we get that dream final of Jones and Anderson in the final again, the rematch from last year, because history will be made one way or the other. Either Jones becomes the outright all-time winningest with championships, or the record is set for most consecutive with Carrie Anderson. She's doing it without Brianne Harris. As you said, that controversy, that gripped me right away. So now I'm watching that. She's been off to a good start. So plenty. And then there's still, Kate Cameron's team's out there. You still have Team Laws. Like, there's a lot of Manitoba representation. So it keeps me busy watching the curling. And now I got to try and balance that with basketball. So that'll be a tough one. But no, all the best to you out there, Taylor. Enjoy it. You're going to be getting a front row to history one way or the other. And we'll be back here next week with another episode of Target Score Weekly and getting that much closer to the CEBL season, Taylor.
Looking forward to it, man. It's going to be here right away. So I'm glad we've ramped up season 2. I've had some couple great guests already. Got a couple more coming down the pipe as well. So things are good on the Target Score Weekly front. So excited for what's ahead, man.
And we will keep it rolling. Until then, Taylor, you have a good one. Enjoy Calgary.
Thank you for listening to the Target Score Weekly podcast. To stay up to date with Winnipeg Sea Bears and CEBL news, as well as future episode releases, follow Joey and Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at TaylorAllen31 and at Joey Slattery TV. And wherever you're getting the podcast, be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.